Good morning, Pastor Travis from A Faithful Dad. So great to be with you this morning. We are on an 8-day series of what's your New Year's resolution this year? And as I talked about in January 2nd, what do you want to, what are we going to set out there to do? And my New Year's resolution every year is to read through God's Word. And it's so inviting, so appealing, so comforting, so soothing, so confidence inspiring in God. So I'm going through some of my favorite Bibles and making recommendations. So the Bible recommendation I talked about yesterday was the NIV daily chronological Bible. And it was without notes. But as I mentioned yesterday, there are at least two types of ways to read through the Bible. Canonically, which is Genesis to Revelation, and chronologically, and best as theologians and scholars can do, they put it into order. So the one yesterday was the chronological Bible from still Genesis to Revelation, but put largely in the order that we think it happened. Not everything can be determined, but much, if not most of it, can be. This version of the Bible I've talked about before, and I even favored over the one yesterday, and it's the daily Bible. And again, same concept. It's parsed into 365 lessons, days, one for each day of the year. But what this Bible does is, F. LaGard Smith, he is an attorney, among other things, very methodical. What he does is, in addition to putting it in chronological order, he will preface what's going on. For example, what I used yesterday, he'll say, in this example, we're going to see that King Saul is going to try to kill David. And he describes it, and then you read through it, and that's exactly what happens. So just having the overview, like these guideposts of what's going to happen, has made this one of my favorite Bibles. I've read this with my children. It took us 4 years to get through it. That's a whole other story and another devotion, but it's such a fantastic rendering because it goes through and it describes what you're going to see. And I just appreciate that. It's a different perspective. I don't agree completely. I'd say 99% of what he says I agree with. There's one particular part where I'm not sure I agree with him, but nonetheless, it's such an amazing rendering of God's Word. And again, I always need to close on this. It's not what humans are putting in there, the notes, right? That's helpful, but it's God's Word. And God's Word is not like a talisman, like somehow you be gone vampires. Vampires don't exist. Somehow we put this at Satan. This book has no inherent power of its own. Like it literally is pulp, cardboard, and printing ink, among other things. But as I've said before, God's Word is a finite account. In other words, it's something you can hold in your hand, or you can count it. It can be seen. It's limited, so it's fine. I can hold this book in my hand, this chronological book, Daily Bible. But it's a finite account of an infinite God who loves us infinitely. And that's the part I want to take home. That's the part where I want the message I'm sending this week, and the message I want to live is we want to live according to God's Word, because He is an infinite God who loves us infinitely. And the more we read God's Word, the more we're in God's Word, the more we love God and we obey His Word, we can see that. And that is so encouraging, especially in times like these when it just seems like our world is tearing apart. So again, I'll have this link on our Facebook and YouTube videos. But again, get into God's Word. It's so encouraging. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. God bless.